Hi, my name is Stephen Downey and I am the host of the Mindful Living Guide. Up until now, the Mindful Living Guide has only been on audio, but from now we decided to up the game a bit and we're adding it to our YouTube channel. So hopefully it will open us up to many new listeners who can tune in and listen to the amazing guests and hopefully some wisdom from our podcast. Today's episode is no exception to that, where we speak to Selene Brennan, a beautiful, beautiful person who is a self-love coach. We all need a bit of self-love in our life, and Selene works tirelessly to help people unblock those limiting beliefs. And I hope you just sit back and enjoy this beautiful, beautiful episode of the Mindful Living Guide. You are very welcome to a new season and a new episode of the Mindful Living Guide. This week, I am delighted to be joined by Selene Brennan. Selene is a self-love teacher, a podcaster, and on the Tuned In podcast, and soon to be mindfulness teacher. She helps people to recognize those limiting beliefs and blockages that may be holding them back and help them to bring them forward. Selene, you're so welcome to the Mindful Living Guide.
I'm just delighted this is happening. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I voiced that to you before and I keep voicing that to you.
I just think myself and Selene had a fantastic conversation on Instagram a couple of months back, and I kept saying I can't wait to get you on the podcast, and unfortunately a lot of stuff happened over the summer and I took a longer break than I expected, and so I just said, just before we came on live, I just said to say thank you so much for the patience to come back on, and it's just always great to know that you have a great guest lined up. So listen, tell me about yourself. How did you get into coaching, and more importantly, how did you get into self-love coaching?
Where to start? So it's only about in the last 2 or 3 weeks that I have changed my title to a self-love coach. And to be honest with you, it's been stirring in the back of my mind, and I've as such pushed it away for quite a number of months. But it just got to the point that no, this title voices everything that you are about, not only in my work but me as a human being. But how I got into coaching, so I come from 15 years in the fitness industry, and when I talk to people about this, because I've obviously been asked this question quite a number of times, that when I could see with people over the 15 years, I could see when people were struggling with their physical goals, when they're coming into me obviously in the gym and they're frustrated because they're not hitting X, Y, and Z goals. And it was always the mindset that got in the way. It was the mindset. And the way that I voice it to people, that if I wanted to be there fully for my clients, I knew the personal training was not going to be my end destination, that there had to be more. And it was in the background. I was doing online life coaching courses, and just for myself to see what it was all about. I have no idea where I heard about life coaching or what it was about, and that went on for quite a number of years. So it did, and I was still in the fitness industry, and it wasn't until I came home from Canada in 2017 and I had my coach made, and that I realized it. And it was so blatantly obvious that this is where I wanted to go. The way I seen it is that I wanted to combine both the fitness and the mindset together. But just for me, the mindset, because of my own personal journey, the mindset just took off for me. I knew that that's where I was supposed to go. So, yeah.
Wow. And it's obviously been a beautiful journey for you. You've learned and you've grown from that. And can you tell me just some of the lessons that you have? Like I know in the introduction I said about like you help people to recognize their limiting beliefs, their blockages. And can you just tell me about, just like, I obviously we don't have to go too deep into it, but just at a high level, like what difference this has made to people through your experience?
Through my own personal experience.
Well, with clients or with
even
yourself.
with the
Yeah,
clients,
yeah,
with clients,
yeah.
It it's just that it's so hard to explain. It's seeing them in person, and the change when they walk into the room and they're coming for another session, and they're lit up. They are genuinely lit up as a human being, and you can see that they have this freedom about them, this complete, different, just a complete change. And they witness life
Yeah.
so differently after they have gotten rid of, if it be one, two, or a number of blockages and limited beliefs in their life. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating to be able to, that they allow me to go on that journey with them. It's
For,
wonderful. It's
for
just
someone
wonderful to experience.
who doesn't understand what a limiting belief may be, or what, like, how to, like, for a lot of people, they may never heard of the term a limiting
Mhm,
belief, but they may be experiencing it all the time. What
mhm.
would a limiting belief like look like to people?
This is actually, Stephen, this is where I find it hard, and I'm going to be very honest here.
Yeah,
I find it hard to, if you want to say, quote unquote, sell your business, because
yeah,
I don't believe a lot of people know that they have limited beliefs. They just think
mm,
life is life, and that
yeah,
they're, they feel a little stale in life, or they just, things are a little bit blasé. Just they don't know what they're doing, where they're going, or they find that they're upset, quite a
yeah,
lot, or they get frustrated, and the kids get it, or the colleagues get it, or whatever it may be.
mm,
And it's not until that they sit down with a coach to try and figure out why it is that they're getting angry, or why they're getting upset, or why they just feel a little off with life,
yeah,
that they realize it goes so much more deeper. And
yeah,
it's the judgments that we put on ourselves because of, if it be the upbringing we've had, the environment around us, our experiences, and it just makes us believe to be a certain way, that we should be
yeah,
this and we should do that. And it's just, and it just brings us down a rabbit hole. And it's, because we have that lack of understanding, it's
mm.
very hard then to get ourselves back out of that hole.
It's
You
funny.
know,
I'm smiling when you said when it should be, and it should be. It's actually it's one of my trigger words. I just and I just see so many people that feel like life should be a certain way. It's that
oh,
it like it's like I'm seeing this firsthand now. As my before coming on, I was saying my daughter is starting secondary school, and she can see that she feels that she should be a certain way, or that this is the way secondary school is because of it. Like she's only started, so she hasn't got much of experience with it, but that's what she thinks it should look like. And
mhm,
I think there's a lot of people like that in life, that they feel like this is the way it should be, and when it's not that way, they find it very hard. They find it hard to kind of they struggle because
mhm,
life's not the way they expected it. And
mhm,
I think that's maybe like I've seen a lot from my own clients as well, where people are struggling with just beliefs that they've gotten from growing up, that life always has to be a certain way, and this is the
mhm,
way it's meant to be. And like it's I think it's a fascinating. That's why I wanted to talk about it first, about it, but when we break down those limited beliefs, how life can just open up, and we can actually open itself up to the possibility that we are actually amazing, and that we
mhm,
all have this inner gift and this inner light, and we don't have to fit it into somebody else's narrow focus on the world. That we can just let it shine bright, and be the type of person we want. um I I
so
try,
true.
it's an amazing thing to talk about. And but can I, do you mind me talk about your own journey? Like you were saying, you went to the fitness industry, you went back on then to study coaching. And how different did you find then from studying fitness to studying coaching, and the mindset? Because you said it brought you to a deeper level.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And it wasn't, I do say to people that it all happened by accident, my
yeah,
journey. And of course, that's not the case. The universe just had it plotted a certain way. But it was a recommendation of one of Louise Hay's books. And I read it, and things just changed for me. And just,
yeah,
and I hadn't coaching planned at that point. I was
mm,
in the fitness industry, and started doing, taking on different tools like affirmations and gratitude, and
yeah,
should was a big thing for me. If I can go back there for a second,
yeah,
that was one of the first things to change my inner dialogue, was just the should, was just trying and Anybody that follows me on social media, they will see me that when I voice the word should, I will always use
Yeah.
inverted commas so that I have it highlighted that
Yeah.
I'm not to take that word seriously. But it was through coaching. I started coaching back in 2016 when I was living in Canada. And it was just, you know yourself, just bit by bit by bit breaking down. And I was going to coaching for what I believe for my career. And it turned out to be so much more than that. I had to park my career aside. It was got to do with, you know, the limited beliefs that I did not realize that were there, and taking the time to work on that, and just, and it just, because I could see as time went on, I could see how I was changing as a human being. I fell in love with the person that I was becoming, and it just made me fall in love with this whole industry more. And I think it became obvious that, yeah, this is where I need to go. I need to go down the coaching route. So yeah,
It's
that it was.
it's powerful, and you've touched actually on something. Actually, I was literally just listening to one of your episodes of your own podcast, the Tuned In podcast, and where you talked about 3 different lessons that that in life that you've got, and the first one that you learned, and it was down to Louise Hay, was about gratitude. Um,
Gratitude.
could you touch on what you learned about gratitude, about what Louise taught you? And I know you're smiling here because it's something I know you talk about all the time, but
All
gratitude,
of
and
the time.
it's something I preach about as well, because I think it changes your whole mindset, and about any obstacle that you come across. If you are looking for that win, or that positivity that comes out of it, those negative situations, they shrink. And for anyone listening on the podcast, I'm doing inverted commas there as well for negative, because I think everything happens for a reason. So anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, not
digressing,
at
but
all,
Selene,
not at all.
talk to me about gratitude and the importance of gratitude in your life.
Oh, it's just, well, for me personally, it is what kicked off everything. So it was early 2013 when I started writing in a gratitude journal. I don't know why. I just, again, because it was through Louise Hay, I was like, I give this a go. And for me, it just allowed me to start seeing what I had in my life. And I do try to be careful, you know, when I'm talking about gratitude, because I think, you know, it gets a lot of knock. It gets a lot of, I think, judgment as such, because, you know, some people believe it to be like, oh, well, you just concentrate on the good and there's absolutely nothing bad in life. And, you know, I'm on cloud 9 with my unicorns and my, you know, sparkles. And it's not the case of that. It's just a lovely way for your brain just to flip things for a moment or two, and to see the good that you actually have in your life. And you know, it can be taken a level deeper, and you know why it is that, you know, so if I voice, you know, I am grateful for this opportunity this morning with Stephen, and the reason for that is, do you know, it's just to elaborate a little bit more. And it was so freeing for me. It just, like I said, it just allowed me to see that the amount of things that I had good in my life. And I think because unknown to myself, I was sitting on too much negative and judgment, and just places that I should not have been going. And just allowed me to, yeah, just to see
Yeah,
life differently. And
kind
it
of
just, I got hooked in no time.
it's like it removes that striving from life of kind of constantly
Absolutely.
thinking what you don't have and what the next level. And I can see it in industry, in the corporate industry a lot, where you have a lot of people who are striving to get to the next position, the next position, and they're not open their eyes to everything that's around them, everything that they have that's going well. And I think it's until
Mhm.
you actually can sit back and appreciate everything you have. I think it opens the door for more abundance to come in. That's my opinion on it.
Absolutely.
You know,
I 100% agree.
it's
100% agree.
another thing that you talked about in that great episode was you talked about taking time to getting to know you. Can you tell me what the difference that has made to you? It's that just
Oh,
open the door to understanding who Selene is.
just it has, and I think in this very moment I would love, you know, for people to see the big smile
Yeah.
that's lit up on my face. That I, how do I explain this? I am, of course, a different person to who I was back in 2013 when I
Yeah.
kicked off with all of this. But the immense amount of freedom that I feel in my life on a regular basis because I have taken the time to get to know me on a deeper level is just, it creates emotions all the time when I talk about it. I am so unbelievably grateful for Louise Hay, but to be honest, more importantly for myself, because the energy and the time and the emotions that have had to go in, for me to release the blockages, to release so many limited beliefs that I have had about myself over the course of 30 odd years, that it's worth it. It's worth every moment of it. So it has been. But I'm still learning. It's not that I've gotten to the point that, I can clap my hands and just shake it off and say, okay, I'm done. That's it. I've learned all I need. I'm forever learning, and I get that, and I take that on board, and I happily, continue life with that, knowing that I'm, even me from now until next year, who I'm going to be next year and what I'm going to learn more about myself. It's just, it's so freeing. Freedom is the word I always use with that.
Wow. And I think it's so important that I often preach, like you talk about gratitude, I talk about journeys all the time, and the fact that life is a journey and it's all about what we're learning along the way. That I think when you think that life is just about the destination, it's about where we're getting to at the very end, that limits us to think that, right, well, that's it and that's the pinnacle. Whereas we look at the journey and who we are, like you said, life's not going to be perfect. We're going to have those ups and downs, and it's, I think, about accepting who we are in those hard times and those good times, so we can just enjoy the journey to wherever our goal is, wherever we want to get. And if we don't make that goal, we just switch direction and enjoy it
so
even more.
And that was the thing for me when you just voiced that word perfect. It's just that understanding that everything for me came down to perfectionism.
Okay.
And I never realized that it came down. And it was through words that Mel Robbins voiced back in 2019, that, you never believe that you're good enough, so you'll do everything in your power to be perfect. And that's what it came down to for me, that I never believed that I was good enough, no matter what I had achieved. And I had quite a successful personal training career, but I never believed it was good enough. I never believed I was good enough for the industry. I never believed I was in shape enough. It was ongoing. It was ongoing. And I thought this was regular living. But I'd done everything I could in my power to be perfect. I needed that external validation. It was like, it was just that, the analogy of the cracked bucket, like continuously filling the water in and it's just seeping out. I needed that with validation on an ongoing basis.
Wow.
And to get to that point to realize that that's what it came down to, that I never for a moment believed, Stephen, I was good enough. And that is where the freedom, it goes back to that question you asked beforehand, that's to get to know yourself, to know that and I was, 36 at that point, to know that has been huge for me.
And to get comfortable in your own,
demolished.
to be comfortable in your own skin then, and just realize that you're absolutely perfect as you are.
Yeah, as just as I am, all the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, I know I'm actually, you know what, it sounds like I'm actually covering one episode of your podcast from start to finish, but I absolutely fell in love with it when I listened to it over the weekend there. And one of the other things, and it's going back to one of those, it's a quote that's actually on your fridge, I believe, saying happiness is the highest good. And that was one of your other lessons. And I think we're going to touch on that here about perfectionism. And I think what you talked about was so deep just now, that there's so many people unknown themselves that they're striving just to be perfect. And I'm absolutely guilty of it over and over again. About I know in the IT industry, like you're constantly looking to deliver the perfect solution, and if you drop short of that, you feel very bad, because this is not the standard I normally deliver. And so you've really touched on that. And it's actually making me think. I think I need to talk for a whole episode just about the illusion of perfectionism, that
That's it.
that many times I think
Really.
it's ego speaking. It's about just trying to please those people around you who you feel have you at a certain pedestal, whereas
Mhm.
the truth is that's not how they probably think about you at all. They're just probably
At
very
all.
proud for the person you are,
Mhm.
and everything you bring to
But
it.
we get a
Yeah,
kick, for me personally, I got such a kick, but anything that, if it be through my work or the person that I was, that when you get a compliment, I seeped it up, like I craved those kind words all of the time, and
yeah,
it just carried me through each day, so it did. And it's just lovely to know that I don't need that
yeah,
anymore. And don't get me wrong, it is beautiful to get a compliment. And I think no matter what, it's nice to get that little bit of external validation. The likes of
yeah,
this interview,
mhm,
it'll be lovely that if people voice to me that it was a great interview, I got this
yeah,
from it, I got that from it. But going back to that quote that I have on the fridge, happiness is the highest good. It's probably what I quote unquote should have written on that is true happiness, true happiness
yeah.
from within. And I understand it now, because I have it. I'm learning to live with it, that it's demolishing, what we think, or what we think we should be on this planet, and it's just dropping perfectionism and everything else with it, and just yeah, know that it's from within. None of that material stuff matters. It really
Doesn't
doesn't. No.
not at the end of the day. The do you know what I'd love to touch on now is because you're going in. I know coaching has been a fantastic part of your life for a while, and also meditation practice has been a big part of your life, and you're now looking at teaching meditation. And can you tell me about that journey now and the difference that has made to your life? As I know, I've listened to a few of your Instagram lives as well, and you talk about awareness, and it seems like awareness has brought you down this journey of
Mm,
mindfulness.
absolutely, absolutely. To the point, Stephen, that awareness is one of my values. So it is. Again, it goes back, and I hope I'm not repeating myself too much, that I am the person I am today, because of the understanding that I have in my life. And it's that awareness that has allowed me to grow as a human being, to learn and to demolish what needed to be demolished, and to bring in what needed to be brought in. And self-love and acceptance and worth was very much so those things that I had to bring in. But I would not be where I am today without living a more mindful life. And because I realized that that was so much of my journey, that again, it's like, I want to teach that. I want people to know more about that. And that's why I changed my title 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's like, and as much as I loved the title human performance coach, but um, I believe that, and I voiced this in a video the other day on Instagram, that I show up best when I'm, with clients that want to work on their own acceptance and their own worth. I light up. I absolutely light up. And yeah, and mindfulness is another area because it's just that importance of awareness, what it can do for you as a human being. Because we can't understand where we're coming from or where we're going, and if we don't have that understanding, we can't learn. We can't grow as a human being. And of course, that's if you want to grow. I'm not telling people that they have to, they should, they
Mhm.
must grow, but that's all down to mindfulness.
Yeah,
And it's been a huge part of my journey to date,
fantastic.
so it has.
And it's for anyone like that is kind of saying, geez, what does awareness mean? What's and I think we've kind of touched it all through this episode is like that it's just being aware of yourself. And like
Mhm.
for me, when I think about awareness, I just think about triggers, about stories, about just how you react to situations. And
Mhm.
what mindfulness brings a lot for myself as well is that it brings that little gap in between where you have this natural feeling that you need to instantly react to something, whereas that awareness will kind of give you that little split second to say, hey, that's triggering you, that story or that answer or that whatever you're listening to, that's triggering you, that's happening for a reason. And I think it's bringing that curiosity and awareness in between that is
Absolutely.
it's pretty important. There's a question I have asked every single guest on this podcast, and I have to keep asking it because I love the answers that we get and the varied answers that we get from so many people. This podcast obviously is called the Mindful Living Guide, and if I say the term mindful living to you, Selene, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to live a mindful life?
For me personally, and I'm probably repeating what I just said, for me, it's everything. It is everything. That, to the point that obviously awareness is one of my values. I would not be where I am today without it, without living a mindful life. And it's just, I'm trying to think of a different way to voice what I've been voicing probably over the course of the podcast, but
yeah,
it's everything to me.
yeah.
Even it's everything. It's freedom, it's life, it's adventure, it's joy, it's fun, it's love, acceptance. It's everything to me.
I think you've summed it up absolutely beautifully in that one sentence. As what happened on our live on Instagram a few months back, I felt like I could talk to you for the whole day, but unfortunately our episode is coming close to an end. If people want to get in contact with you, can you, I know I'll have all the details on our show notes, but just for anyone listening right now, like what's the best way to contact you, Selene?
The best way at the moment is social media. So I am at the very beginning of my website design, so there's no point of giving that out just yet. So with Instagram, it is Selene Brennan Wellness. So it is, and it's terrible. Oh my gosh, it is the same with Facebook. Is it Selene Brennan Coaching or Selene Brennan Wellness? Oh my good God. I need to go to check that out.
There you go.
There
well,
you go.
I
am
will
sorry.
have
I apologize to my Facebook.
I will have all the links on our show notes, and look up and she has some absolutely amazing stories and posts and on Instagram. So Selene Brennan Wellness. Selene, thank you so much for reinvigorating my love for this podcast and being our first guest in season 3. And thank you so much, Selene Brennan.
Delighted. Thanks a million, Stephen. I appreciate it.
So there you go, episode 26 of the Mindful Living Guide, and the first one that I've put on YouTube. So I hope you've really enjoyed it, and you might come back. If you have enjoyed it, there's a subscribe button down below, and if you subscribe to the channel, you get notified of any more updates that come. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a million for joining us, and if you'd like, I'd love if you could share this episode with your friends and family and come back for many, many more to come. Take care, and thank you for joining us for the Mindful Living Guide.